Quick check to make sure I'm actually audible on this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we're preparing to get underway for the last big endurance racing event of the 2025 racing season here on Forza Motorsport 8. We are going to get underway for TORA's 24 Hours of Nurburgring as we continue our month of non-stop Nordschleife, or non-stop Nurburgring. Non-stop Nurburgring November, as I like to call it. For those of you who are not aware, we had recently covered a endurance event at Nurburgring Nordschleife last weekend as well. But this one's going to be a lot different. This is your more normal and traditional TORA event. Most significant things is that while the race timer says 2 hours, these events typically go to 1 hour and 40 minutes long. Then everyone is required to stop where they are on the track. And at that point, you go ahead and record your distance and gaps between yourself and other people in the field. So they're not doing a full 2 hour run. It's really close to a 100-minute run. Other thing to consider is that this is a multi-class event. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look at some of the drivers who will be running in today's event. Hi, kitty. I don't know whose cat you are, but if you're going to watch your race, that's perfectly fine. Just don't try to tear up my window from the outside. All right, real quickly, going through our driver list. Our lobby host is Roken GTR. He is in the Hyundai Elantra, the number 787 machine. OTR Anonyms is going to be running one of the Toyota Supras. I cannot see the number of that car from this angle. I do apologize for that. NWR Hyphen is going to be in one of the GT category cars. Is going to be running in the Aston Martin Vantage number 157. VNX Drift is going to be in one of the Ford Mustangs. Mustangs have not really shown a lot of capability in the other endurance races they've been in. We're interested to see if they can turn that event, that bad string results around here today. E Mojave is going to be in the Dodge Viper. I say keep an eye on this car. The Dodge Viper has shown to be ridiculously OP with some hidden strengths and weaknesses that it has. We'll get more into that in the race proper, but keep an eye on Dodge Viper GT cars. You also have CBL Ferrari, who's going to be in another Toyota Supra in that number 98 in the lower category. HYR Otavio is going to be in the Ford Mustang GT3 as well. For some reason, we cannot see the proper paint scheme they have on that car. Les Destructor is in the Les number 32 Mercedes GT3 car. HYR Iris is going to be in the Dodge Viper. I believe that is number 31. I will get a better look at that later. Von Lobo is going to be in the BMW M4 in the bottom category. EMC Motorman is going to be in another Toyota Supra, the number 199. AFMG Pineapple is going to be running the number 93 Ford Mustang. And EDO 4351 will be in the KTM Expo, the number 23. This is interesting enough. The GT2, not the older GT2 category, as some of the older people are familiar with the current GT2 category, which is like a super elite low volume production category. That car is going to be trying to be balanced with a bunch of GT cars. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Storm 1919 is going to be in another one of the HYR Dodges. That is the number 29, I believe, by the looks of it. Ender D Kid is going to be the number 21 VER Dodge. This is the car that I particularly have interest in seeing what their performance is. I anticipate that this car is going to end up winning at least one, if not two stints while we are here. Fast Food 21 is in another BMW M4. He is in the very minimalistically painted number 498 or 488. ZR Eric is in a Mercedes GT3. We are currently not able to see their paint scheme. Maybe Racing is in the E-Racing United number 53 BMW. As you know, the IFEA teams usually run BMWs because that is the specialty of their top driver, Scored Buffalo. So while I don't anticipate a lot out of this car from this stint and the stints where Scored Buffalo shows up, look for them to steal a podium, if not an outright stint victory. Isa Bay is going to be in the 998 Mercedes. I absolutely love the paint scheme on that. It is both anime styled and festive, and it is very colorful. Absolutely, mwah, I love this paint scheme. GSR Rico is in what I believe is the 60-something. I can't see what it is, but it is a very, very stunning pink BMW GT3. Optin Vic, or OPT and Vic, is going to be in the number 211 Toyota Supra in the bomb category. And the last driver that we're looking at, F1 K13, ran 596 JBs. He is going to be in the number 50 BMW M4 GT3 here today. Oh, golly. If only there was somewhere you could hide. Now, we are going to get underway here very shortly for this event. Real quick, let's look at some of the noteworthy rules regarding this event here. Mind you, full damage is going to be on. You hit the wall here at Nurburgring Nordschleife, you could real slowly limp your car around, but your day and your team's overall event could be done. It is a very high-risk event here today. Also, mandatory pit stops. This is going to be continuing off of what we saw back at Spa Enduro with the TCR cars about 2 months ago. Mandatory pit stops are not on in this. Now, I do believe there is still going to be a requirement, a return to the requirement that your pit stops must be done within the last 5 minutes of the race. You're not allowed to finish the race in pit lane. However, due to the general giant size of the circuit, I imagine it would be very hard for a lot of the cars to actually do that. Also, be aware as this is multi-category, but the track is so big, we're likely only going to see our top category catch the bottom category split once, maybe twice at the very end, but I would argue they're only going to catch the bottom split about once. This means that's going to be a lot of hot lapping throughout the day today. The other thing is that as you look real quickly at the track layout, about the first 1/5 of the circuit is a traditional modern FIA Grade 1 circuit, or something very close to modern FIA Grade 1. There's lots of decent and traditional overtaking opportunities, especially for the GT category cars. It's going to be fantastic. Also, thank you for the heads up, 3 mandatory pits. So yeah, 3 mandatory pits. You are not allowed to finish the event in the pit lane. I believe it is in the last 5 minutes you are not allowed to make your 3rd mandatory stop, but if you are on a 4th stop strategy, it's whatever. But as I was saying, the first 1/5 of the track is very traditional FIA Grade 1 type circuit, very well designed for GT car racing in general. You'll likely see lots of jostling for position, but the vast majority of the circuit is very high speed, kind of narrow, very technical. The thing is that if you are caught behind a slower car, you just can't hang out behind them the entire time. It looks like we're about to launch the circuit. I'm going to try and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we should be able to get underway right away for proper racing here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. I did not ready up like a moron. Congratulations. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nurburgring Nordschleife. I made a mistake and I did not get properly readied up for spectate mode, so they are probably right now organizing and ordering the grid properly as we are looking at pretty close to a full lobby in today's event. We are going to be seeing them take a long time to organize everything. Heads up, we will also be covering Stint 2 as well, and assuming there is no other crazy changes, we'll also be covering Stints 5 and 6, and then in the middle of the night, at least for those of us who are Americans, in the middle of the night going into the ultra early morning, I'm talking like before the rooster crows early morning, I'll also be covering Stints 10 and 11, unless circumstances change or schedules change. Those are the stints that look like I will be covering for the event. Okay, here we go. About to launch properly now, so I should have the ability to go to spectate mode very shortly here. Come on, game, let me spectate. Thank you. Everyone will be relatively close to each other on track, so we shouldn't have to worry about everything being too badly damaged here. As now you look at the entire grid as it runs down into the switchbacks of turns 1 and 2 here. All right. So as the number 69 BMW up front, the number 31 Dodge right in second, and then the number 290, I didn't see the third number there, but 2 Dodges running right behind a BMW as they head under the Nurburgring Bridge. This is where we saw the field accelerate in our last endurance series, and that is where it is going to accelerate here as well. As our BMW goes ahead and takes the lead here. Real quickly, we look farther down the grid here. Excuse me, and our bottom category. Our bottom category is now off and underway. Bon Lobo is rounding out the rear of the grid at the moment. But we're going to focus on the top category just for the moment here. Oh boy, ticker is completely busted. I do apologize for that. I'm hoping that as the event goes on, the gaps spread out, the ticker properly corrects itself here. So your leader in the top category is currently GSR Rico 293. As they have the Dodges still tucked up behind. We're not likely going to see the Dodges making a lot of actual big on-track moves throughout the event. The big advantages that the Dodges have had is that they do not really lose a lot of lap time while fighting other cars. They do not have a lot of top speed, so they can naturally brake very late. And while they don't have a lot of speed, the draft that they can catch running behind other cars lets them artificially better their lap times by a significant margin. We're anticipating that the Dodge's biggest advantage is all of that, coupled with the fact that they don't typically tear up and wear away their front tires, means that they can be a lot more aggressive near the very end of tire and fuel stints. Still, our top 5 all seem to be running right on top of each other at the moment here, with GSR Rico continuing to hold station at the head of this field. Oh, he's a little bit wide there, and you can see the Dodge gets a big run. He's going to look to the inside as they come uphill here. One of the most dangerous hills, one of the most dangerous braking zones in motor racing. The top 4 all pretty much nose to tail as they fire it off. Everyone's going to keep it on track at the head of the field for now, though. They're going to get onto another nice long straightaway. This is good for Rico. He'll be able to keep the Dodges behind him. But the bad news is that he's giving now so much aero wash that the draft of the Dodge will keep it right under him, and the Dodge will have a fantastic chance to go for a move in this following braking zone. The BMW defends the inside line. It's going to give him a bad exit, though. That Dodge Viper pulls up right behind. However, the 69 grabs his stuff back, shuts the door on the inside line. He'll hold the top position for just a little bit longer here. Meanwhile, farther down in the bottom split, it is Roken who is currently leading in that bomb. So, oh, and that was one of the Supras that just went off there. I don't know if it was the 98 there of CBL Ferrari, but you can see one of the Supras went ahead and had a big slide there. Meanwhile, back at the head of the field, in the top category, the BMW starting to pull a little bit of a gap on this cluster of Dodges behind 2 Dodges, right nose to tail, and then you have a Ford Mustang. That is VNX drifts in that Mustang there. He gets a little bit wide, but he'll keep the car just barely on the paved section. About 2nd through 6th, all running just about nose to tail through here. And there's not any big straightaways here, but you will have quite a few really, really tight technical corners. I'm really shocked that we've not seen the Dodge Vipers scoot away like we are used to seeing. They're maintaining position well near the front of the field. There's more movement coming behind. This is Inter Kid, and it looks like HYR Otavio got side by side there. The VER Dodge is a little bit wide. Here comes that Mustang trying to wrap around the extreme outside, puts the power down, gets those side tires on that big high curve, and it'll use the power to power ahead. So Otavio clears Inter Kid. And we'll move up to what should be 5th overall in the GT category. HYR Iris is losing touch with Rico. Storm is trying to deal with VNX Drifts right behind right now as they fire off into what's not quite a straightaway, but you have to drive it kind of like a straightaway. You can go side by side through here, but it is a very high risk maneuver. But if you can get side by side, complete the overtake, the rewards are absolutely great. And that is the big appeal of Nurburgring Nordschleife. Everything in the Nordschleife section is a high risk, high reward move. Logically, you could just say, well, just don't ever make any crazy moves whatsoever. Don't go side by side. Don't ever make moves in the Nordschleife. But that's not how it works here. You would lose so much time if you never made any movements, any attacks in the Nordschleife that you would just hemorrhage time. You have to make moves somewhere. But because every move is high risk, every move you make has to be very, very well crafted and thought out. And as they fire off now into the carousel, you can see first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and eighth, ninth, the top about the entirety of the GT field, all very, very close to each other at the moment as they fire off through the carousel for the very first time here. And yes, the ticker is cooked. I do apologize. That was because I was not able to get properly readied up for spectate mode. That is 100% on me. I'm hoping that as the event goes on, the ticker does gradually end up fixing itself. Oh, that's a dodge off. That's a big slide there. And now they're stuck side by side behind. Here comes VNX Drift. Drift clears one of the dodges. Now he's going to look to this dodge up ahead. The one that's been giving him a lot of trouble here has been holding up the field and letting the leaders shoot off into the distance. You can see that BMW way out in front. GSR Rico starting to vanish around some of the corners faster than anyone wants. Drifts is caught here between HYR Iris. Does he have what it takes to get by him here? If not, he may have to rely on just sheer drafted straight line speed to try and pull him ahead as they head down the long straightaway that they're coming up to very shortly. Heavy braking zone here. And now they come onto one of the most technical parts of the circuit, one of the most difficult parts of the circuit. It's so hard to keep a car on track here. There was another car that slid off into the dirt farther back here, but this is the fight for second right now in the GT category. They're just about nose to tail, firing it off through here. It looks like they're both going to just barely keep their cars on circuit. You can see VNX Drift getting the left side tires high on some of the curbs. Still tucked up behind the Dodge Viper. He's going to have a little bit wider entry, trying to have a nice smooth exit. The Dodge gets the thing all sorts of sideways, trying to extend on the raised bit as they go through the mini carousel now. Very nearly slides that right rear into the dirt, and now they're going to pull up onto the last big corner, a long, consistent corner that goes almost 270 degrees before they fire it off onto the straightaway here. Now they fire down the straight once more, or not really once more, it's for the first time that we've been seeing. HYR Iris is going to use the draft and pull along. Drift's going to use the draft and pull alongside HYR Iris. He's going to complete the overtake. Nice, clean, and simple. He's done before he even get to the top of the straightaway. But now the advantage goes back to the Dodge. Now the Dodge has the draft. The Dodge is going to look back to the inside. Side by side for a second position in the GT3 category. They're going to go under the Blistein Bridge. Neck and neck still. The Dodge is going to have an advantage here. He can brake a lot later because the car doesn't have as much normal top speed. And the Dodge will maintain his position here in what is second for the GT category. And while these two are fighting, we see GSR Rico vanishing off into the distance. Now they're onto the pit straightaway, the start-finish straight around the normal Nurburgring GP only layout. This will be another good shot for that Mustang to make a move. Here comes the Ford Mustang. He's going to go to the inside. They pull up side by side as they go into turn number one. The Dodge brakes late, but the Mustang has the lane of choice coming in, but the Dodge is going to have lane of choice coming out. The Mustang's going to try and keep the Dodge squeezed down. They're going to be in another dead heat as they come out. Sheer torque should let the Dodge pull this off. They're still going to be side by side as they go under the bridge. They have completed officially one full racing lap, and in the end, it will be HYR Iris who barely stays ahead of VNX Drift for the moment in the second position. And now they start firing it off down. A lot of good traditional overtaking zones here. How does the Mustang go? He looks to the inside. He thought of it, but was not willing to commit to it. He's going to stay behind, and now we're seeing that these two fighting have brought the drivers behind. VNX Drift, and I believe that is Storm 1919 all up. So second, third, fourth, and fifth all on top of each other. Once again here, HYR Otavio now has moved up to fourth as he watches second and third place fighting ahead of him. He's thinking, hey, can I get alongside? Maybe I can dispose of this Dodge faster than you can. He tries to get along side. VNX drifts is not letting him do it that easily. He's going to try and go to the outside, then crossover on corner exit, side by side as they come downhill here. This is going to get interesting. There's a little bit of a curve here. Can they maintain side by side through there? Yes, they can. And now they're going to come up into this big, nice, smooth S. Who's going to break early? Who's going to break late? Well, it looks like it's going to be HYR Otavio who clears VNX drifts. And now Otavio looks ahead to HYR Iris. He looks to the inside. Iris gave him the inside room. Iris did not even try to put up a fight. Side by side through the short straightaway. And now as they come onto the north side, Ford Mustang puts their highest car up into the second position on track here. And now, HYR Iris is going to have to deal with pressure from behind in the form of the Mustang. And while I was expecting some incredibly good results out of the Dodge Vipers, the fact that they have been fighting with other cars has let this man, GSR Rico, your pole sitter in the top category here in the B lobby, absolutely vanish into the distance as he has gradually opened up a gap on the rest of the field. He can only briefly see the cars behind here and there. So now his thing is just going to be maintain perfect lap times and hope that once he catches traffic, he doesn't get screwed over by said traffic. Speaking of traffic, real quickly, let's go ahead and look at our bottom category. Broken GTR continues to lead. Right behind him, or not really right behind him, is a good way behind, is OTR Anonyms, followed by CBL Ferrari and EMC Moto Man. After that will be OPT and Vic, and you will have a bit of a gap behind him to Fast Food, who is in one of the BMW entries, followed by Von Lobo here. I believe Von Lobo is the last in that category. Meanwhile, at the back of the GT grid, and this is where things are a little bit interesting, this is Les Destructor and one of the Mercs. Again, we're hoping that as the event goes on, we will see the tickers properly resolve themselves. But that has not yet happened yet. The game seems to think that your leader overall is this driver here, F1 K13 Ram 596JB. Again, it's not actually the game made a mistake because I did not have everything rated up properly. It's a glitch on my end. I do apologize for that. I'm hoping it will not replicate itself in Stint 2. One good news, though, is that we have gotten deep enough into this run that while we started the Stint a little bit late, we did not waste a significant amount of time doing lobby reset stints here, so that should help us a lot going forward. This is Maybe Racing here, who is in one of the BMW M4s, looking ahead. And then at the very back of the GT category right now is this driver here, Edo 4351. Again, this is the only KTM entry, the only GT2 entry in this field. Everything else is a GT3 car or something very close to GT3, built to GT3-like specs here. This is the only exception. This is a GT2 car. So you have to wonder, is this car going to have its own very distinct set of strengths and weaknesses? And who is actually going to have the ability to take advantage and make use of those strengths and weaknesses here? We have a fight going on here. This is NWR Hyphen, running just a little bit ahead of Inder D Kid, and I cannot currently tell who the driver is just ahead, but they are getting very, very aggressive here. You can see the Dodge Viper trying to get alongside the Aston Martin as they come. The Aston drops tires in the dirt. Here come the Vipers trying to wrap around the outside. He's going to now try and do the crossover on exit. The Aston slides a tire into the dirt again. Big twitch, big slide, but it'll hold station just for the moment. And now they fire out of the corner and on the run back down to the carousel all over again here. Fire it forward, and it does look like for the moment the Aston continues to run. Supposedly, I can't prove this, but one person is saying that this is the only Aston Martin entry in the field, that there are no other Astons, not even in the other lobbies. If so, it would be very, very nice and special to see them here. I do know that Ferrari is also registered, but a lot of people don't really like the Ferrari GT cars because they have very, very eclectic handling. I've only seen a handful of drivers being able to drive the Ferrari GT cars fast. It's because of their natural handling issues. Bit of a slide there by the Aston. Seems like Hyphen is really struggling with the rear tires of that car right now. But still, despite the fact that it looks like he's sliding that rear around a lot, you look at his tire wear, and it is his fronts that are burning up faster than his rears. So the data is very much not replicating what we are seeing on track at this stage of the event. However, we are just about to complete our second lap here. These drivers are not quite 30% through. So on the set of tires that these drivers are running right now, oh, look at that HYR move, and he's gonna go around the outside. He gets into the dirt. He's deep in the dirt. There's 3 wide briefly as another Viper goes to the dirt on the inside, and then big slide, big twitch, and the Viper is hard to the wall, and he hits the HYR Viper as well. I have to figure out who that was real quickly. I can't tell who that Viper was. Was it Storm? It probably was Storm who was hit. Was it Ender? I think it may have been this. Well, curse you, broken ticker. But yeah, a very, very chaotic moment there between an Aston and 2 Dodges, where all 3 cars tried to go 3 wide, and at points in the event, all 3 cars had at least 2 tires off into the dirt. As leaders fire it off down the straightaway here. Once again, your leader overall in GT is this man here. It is GSR Rico, 293 in this number 69 machine. Then in second position is HYR Otavio, who has broken away from the rest of the field. He can see that BMW ahead, and he is now going to try and focus on lap time, try and set the best possible laps he can. And it looks like our ticker is now finally beginning to fix itself after 2 full laps around here. I'm hoping it stays fixed, or something very close to fixed here. But it does appear that the ticker is finally beginning to resolve its issues now. Real quickly, down here in what is still the game is counting as dead last, this is Isa Bay in the Mercedes, who is having an absolutely rough time of it. It looks like they have suffered some significant transmission damage somewhere around the circuit, and they have fallen completely off pace. They are honestly closer to the bottom category road cars than they are to the top category GT class right now. Real quickly, looking at that bottom category, your leader has been basically from the drop of the green flag, Rokin GTR, with OTR Animems running a decent way back, but CBL Ferrari continues to keep OTR Animems in his sights. Now, one very important thing to consider about these bottom category cars, they do not have tunable aero. They also are very, very limited when it comes to their suspension setups. They do not have the ability to tune their cars, and VNX Drift has dropped out. One of our top 5 contenders has dropped out of the event here. We're going to try and reach out to VNX Drift here and see if he's going to be willing to talk with us. But one of our top 5 contenders has had something that has disconnected him very, very early on in the event here. Oh no, please don't tell me that the ticker is going to break itself. Oh, and that's Anonyms. Anonyms, our second place in the bottom category, has had an accident at the end of the straightaway, and he's going to fall to third as CBL Ferrari scoots by there. It looks like he bounced off the walls. Is there damage to the car? No, he will be able to continue. So Anonyms will be able to continue, but now he has thrown away second position. Now he's stuck in the draft of CBL Ferrari, and if those two end up fighting for a significant period of time going forward, we will see a scenario where Rokin in the bottom category will continue to open up more and more ground on the rest of the field here early on at Nurburgring. Real quickly, looking at the tire wear of this car that is leading the bottom category. He's at 35% tire wear right now, so he is really burning up those front tires. If he's hitting about 32% after what would be basically 2 full laps, again, you're looking at 4 laps, but his tires are going to be absolutely cooked at the very end of his 4th and final lap here. He is building up a big gap now. He's going to have to hope that he builds up so much of a gap that when his tires start to fall off, he won't have to worry too much. Meanwhile, in the top category, it is still GSR Rico leading with HYR Otavio slowly starting to close the distance down. HYR drivers run 2nd and 3rd in the event. This is the highest of all of the Dodge Vipers right now. 4th place is ZR Eric, who's quite a ways back. He is in the highest ranking of the Mercedes right now, followed by Storm 1919 here. So we've got no, that's Hyphen who's actually ahead of Storm. So we have a BMW leading in the form of Rico. Then Otavio has slid off and huge into the tire barriers. A gigantic hit on the tires. Is the car damaged? It's destroyed. He does have an engine. He does have a functioning engine. But 2nd place in the GT category has had a gigantic hit, a gigantic impact to those barriers. And now he is just going to be bleeding away time, limping time away. There is a little bit of engine damage, but more significantly, aerodynamically, the car is destroyed. Steering car is destroyed. The driveline in the car is destroyed. The springs are damaged. The brakes are damaged. It's going to be a very, very long limping period around the entire circuit for HYR Otavio. So 2nd place in both categories have had a significant incident early on in the event. We're not even 30 minutes through, and we have seen big incidents in the drivers who have been running in 2nd in both categories here. And this is perfect for GSR Rico. Oh boy, that was a big slide by Otavio. But now, GSR Rico does not have to worry at all. The next closest driver to him now is HYR Iris, and Iris may have some advantage because we do not anticipate the Dodge is going to be tearing up its tires that much. However, and this is the big thing, however, that may not be enough. Iris just may not have the pace to run down Rico. Rico might be able to run off with this just off the back of HYR Otavio's massive accident. And the other thing for Otavio is now he's going to be limping around, creeping around the circuit here with this heavily damaged car. They're only about halfway through the lap here. Otavio is going to continue to hemorrhage time, continue to hemorrhage position. He's likely going to fall back there with Isa Bay way off the pace with the rest of the field. Mind you, Isa Bay has started to pick up their pace a little bit. I believe they may have repaired their... No, they still have transmission damage. They have not repaired their car yet. But Isa Bay is starting to pull away finally from the bottom category. But I think it is very likely we could see Otavio falling back into the clutches of Isa Bay, depending on how much longer this goes. Because this is not going to get any easier for Otavio to drive here. Very wide, and he slams into another tire barrier, and now he has to come down through the carousel. Again, it's just getting worse and worse for Otavio. Time bleeding away, hitting the wall in one of the most dangerous and frustrating parts on the circuit. Coming in the party right now is VNX Drifts. Drifts, go ahead and include your audio in the Xbox party. Hello, can you hear me? All right, were you able to get your audio included?
Yep.
All right, Drift, it looks like you were having a decent start to the event. All of a sudden, out of the event, what took you out there?
Typical Forza DC, like literally was coming up on a chicane, and it looked like Octavio was going off on the track, and it turns out it was me in the process of getting disconnected. So
while you were wrong, Otavio has gone off and absolutely destroyed his car. So your sights were not wrong in that scenario.
Nah, it was wild. It was definitely a good start to the stint. Racing was fair for the most part. I feel like I got a little blocked off. We're not gonna get into that, but you know, it was good fun for, I guess, while it lasted all of 2 laps. But yeah, racing with those guys, that was fun for that little time.
All right, so now at this point, I have to ask, who's going to be taking over the car in Stint 2? Please tell me your team's not going to withdraw already. Who's going to drive the car in Stint 2?
Let me check. Stint 2 is supposed to be Comey. Phoenix Comey. Followed by Legacy. And more Legacy. But who knows? We'll see. The disconnect was this early on. Who knows what they'll do.
All right. right, well, hopefully you guys don't pull out. We actually have a really decent field, and I would have loved to see what you guys could make happen in the later events. But thanks for jumping in and talking with us. It's a shame that we are talking to you this early in the event,
right,
though.
Yep. All right, appreciate it, man. You take it easy.
Yep. All right, and that's the word from VNX Drift. As we see Otavio limping his damaged Mustang around here. It looks like he has not lost as much time as we thought, but he's still just about guaranteed to end up last. But meanwhile, in your top category, your leader is GSR Rico, and it looks like they are coming in and pitting significantly earlier than anticipated. So their tires do not have a lot of wear on them. They could go another lap, but they are pitting for fuel. So second place is HYR Iris. They are also going to be pitting now. Are they pitting for fuel or tires? They are pitting for fuel as well. Again, they have more life left in the tires, but they are not willing to push it. ZR Eric in a similar position. NWR Hyphen here is coming in. So it looks like just about the entire field is all going to be choosing to pit at the same time. They are racing to fuel numbers. They are not racing to tires. So a very interesting scenario here as everyone is making their first pit stops about 26 minutes into a 100-minute long stint. If you have 3 mandatory stops, 26 minutes, pitting once every 25 to 26 minutes will get you in the pits 25 minutes in, 50 minutes in, and 75 minutes in. You wouldn't have to pit again. So this is probably mathematically the easiest way to knock out 3 pit stops over the event. With that in mind, that will pretty much bring us to a scenario where everyone has completed their first mandatory stop. Isa Bay is the only exception. It looks like they have already made a stop earlier and we just completely missed it. I do apologize for that. And then there is also Maybe Racing, apparently, who is going an entire extra lap right now. They have more fuel in the car. They're also going to be pushing their tires further. So the interesting thing is that Maybe Racing is going to have a significant amount of track position advantage over GSR Rico and HYR Iris. Actually, Iris has ended up ahead. No, Rico is still ahead of Maybe, actually. Am I seeing this right? Yeah, Rico is still the leader. Maybe is inherited second, but that's just because Maybe is going to go an extra lap before pitting. So if you're looking at pitting once every 25 minutes, but this team is going to be going closer to 32, 33 minutes before making their stop. Maybe Racing may have a small advantage going forward. They will not have to worry about the tires falling off whatsoever later. Granted, I don't think anyone's dealing with tire fall, but they also will be able to put a little bit less fuel in the car in the later stints. So keep an eye on this. It could get very interesting to see what kind of different strategy this BMW entry is running right now. They are the only driver in the top category running an alternate strategy. Meanwhile, we're looking back here very briefly at the bottom category here. This is your leader in the bottom category, and look at that tire wear right now. 50% for Rokin, leading at the moment, so he is almost guaranteed going to be pitting this time, coming up to the pit lane. And as our bottom category is about to come up to the pit lane to make their first stops of the day, we are going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Nurburgring Nordschleife. This is the fight for second position on track. Maybe racing in this BMW GT car is trying to keep that Dodge Viper GT car behind him, but maybe is not here on merit. Maybe is here off the back of a strategy differential. Their tires are absolutely cooked while the Viper is on fresher rubber. We do not understand what the strategy is that the BMW is running. It's not like it's hard to get into pit lane here, so it's not like they could have missed it. You have to wonder if maybe they just weren't paying attention, or have they figured out something else? Are they running an alternate strategy in these cars today? Most drivers are only going about 3 laps. The anticipation is that this is going to be roughly a 12-lap race for the top category with 3 mandatory stops. You can just go ahead and pit on the end of your 3rd lap, the end of your 6th lap, and the end of your 9th lap, and you should be fine and not be in too bad of a position. So even though the tires have what could be 4 laps of running in them, Maybe Racing is the only driver right now going the full 4 laps. Everyone else is trying to mathematically split the stint into nice even sections here using because of the mandatory pit stops. So again, we do not know what Maybe's strategy is, but we will be keeping an eye on it. The one thing is that it has given him a little bit of draft off of a driver who's faster on speed. He has been fighting for a little bit, but while this has all gone on, it has actually slowed Iris down just a little bit, and more significantly, GSR Rico continues to lead. Rico has led pretty much from the drop of the green flag in the top category today, but it's not like it was just easy walk away. HY Otavio was putting the pressure on. VNX Drifts also had a good run as well, but Otavio was putting the pressure on. Drifts was starting to get stuff together. Drifts had a disconnect, and then Otavio had a gigantic accident. And for those of you who have followed this channel and seen us cover Nurburgring Nordschleife race before, that is one of the most infamous walls that we have seen. I've kind of taken to calling it the PM wall. Way back in 2018, there was a 20-race-long GT3 championship that I covered, where 4 drivers were fighting for the title going into the finale here at Nurburgring Nordschleife, and we saw a gigantic hit by the second in points man who was leading the race in the final lap. A big hit there in that wall in the final lap, and that stole the championship away from them. We've also seen similar scenarios with other cars. Formula 1 1960s cars, we've covered championships for that series that I've run here. They have also had big hits and big slides in those corners and into that wall as well. So it's definitely one of, at least in sim racing, is one of the most dangerous places to hit on the circuit. Still, your leader is GSR Rico. A little bit farther back, this is ZR Eric, who is holding on to 4th position. He's got Storm 1919 just behind him. Now, for some reason, the game seems to think that Storm and Eric are right on top of each other. I'm going to blame that off of the ticker issues that we've been dealing with since I loaded in. Again, I made the mistake. I caused the glitch. This is not a game fault. I made the mistake. I do apologize for that. But Eric is maintaining a gap on Storm right now. Then you have NWR-, who we believe, again, as far as, if I'm reading everything correct, this is the only Aston Martin entry for the entire event. Not just here in this lobby, but across all 4 lobbies in the event. And a little bit behind is this Mustang of AFMG Pineapple. Then you have Otavio, who is stuck up there behind Ian Mojave. And, no, is that Ender? No, it is, okay. So the back of the field is still completely busted and just about impossible to tell who's where. I'm not really sure what... I could not see who that KTM driver is. Here we are. EDO. So it looks like our top 8 are pretty well... Oh! And that's a dodge off! Hard into the wall there. And I can't see who the dodge is. Not this dodge. It was... try and use this trick. Oh, they're side by side. You don't want to be side by side through these corners, but they're trying to go side by side anyway. Pull up alongside of each other, going down the straight. Maybe Racing finally pits out of what is 3rd place on track, but we're going to see him plummet down the grid now. KTM versus Mustang drag race as they go down the straight here. Still side by side. Emo Have ran a little bit farther back. It doesn't look like he's dropping off terribly, so I don't think he damaged the car in that, but he's definitely lost critical lap time. They are still side by side. Someone has to brake early. It will be the Mustang driver that brakes early. So Ito is going to maintain his position just for the moment. So we are now about 35 minutes through the event here. Again, we are not 100% sure what the strategy was for Maybe Racing to have chosen to go 4 laps on their tires instead of just 3 like everyone else. He's not the only one though. There is another driver who's doing something similar. This is EMC Moto Man in one of the Toyota Supras that is also going incredibly long on their tires. Now, as you can see, the leader in the bottom category is still Roken by a significant margin, but you have OTR Anonyms, who is a little bit up the road, and then EMC Moto Man holding on to third. Now, we're likely going to see him drop down the order here of our road car category. But still, Moto Man also trying to run an alternate strategy similar to what Maybe Racing is doing. We are not sure why this strategy is being ran by these drivers. Maybe they're working on some sort of alternate strategy that we are not currently aware of, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes and how it plays out as the event continues here. There is a car that looks like it's off circuit there. I'm just seeing it wrong. I am just seeing it wrong. This is Inder D Kid, one of the Dodge Vipers. But your leader is still Rico, followed by Iris, and then you have Storm 1919, who has closed back in on ZR Eric. So this is the fight for third on track here. It seems like Storm really closed the gap down, going through the classic, well, not classic, but the more modern Nurburgring GP section, and now they're in the Nordschleife proper. This is where the Merc opened up the gap on this Dodge earlier. Can he do it again? Big slide as he high centers that right rear of the car on one of the bigger curbs. That's one of the interesting challenges of Nürburgring Nordschleife. Just gigantic curbs. Some of the curbs here feel and act like full-on walls in their own right. Some of the curbs you just do not want to hit. And then there are some that if you hit them, you can gain a ridiculous amount of time. And it's not just a Forza thing. A lot of people like to bitch and complain, and I understand why, about the curbs in this game. I do think sometimes some of the complaint is unnecessary, but that's neither here or there. But in real life, the Nürburgring Nordschleife curbs are as bad in this game as they are in real life. They are actually that terrible to hit, and sometimes they are that beneficial to hit as well. You need to be very, very careful hitting it. Here comes that Viper. Got a fantastic run out of the corner. Uses the torque to stay right under that Merc's rear wing, but is not willing to get side by side as they rush down into the bottom of this valley and now fire back up. Who brakes earlier? Looks like Storm may have broke a little earlier just so he wouldn't hit the Mercedes in the rear diffuser. Bit of a slide there under braking. It does seem like that Merc is really sliding the car around a little more than you ideally want to here. As I say that, he has just gone off after he went into one of the curbs. Big slide and off into the dirt. I couldn't tell if he hit the wall. It looked like he may have hit the wall there. But now he is going to fall behind Storm. So Storm 1919 officially inherits third place on circuit. He is really sliding the rear of that car around. We saw this earlier before he made stops the first time. The front tires are what's wearing out, but he is driving like the rears are completely cooked. At least my telemetry is showing that his rears aren't cooked, but I have to wonder if maybe this team went a little bit too far in chasing straight line speed. They just don't have enough downforce on the rear wing of this car, and because of that, it is causing him to slide off circuit rear first through a lot of these more technical bits here. Isabe has already made their second stop of the event. One interesting thing for Maybe Racing is that now they have a slight tire advantage going forward. They are going to have better tires, and F1 has dropped out now, so that is our second disconnect here. We're going to try and reach out to them and see if they have anything they want to say, but already our second disconnect here in the stint. But as I'm saying, Maybe does have a bit of an advantage now. He now has a tire advantage going forward, and will have a tire advantage for this lap and next lap as well. It's not going to be a gigantic advantage, especially because these other cars are not really pushing to the 60% wear mark. but maybe does have a slight tire advantage. I'm curious to see what he can make out of that. And the car right ahead of Maybe Racing is apparently HBR Otavio, who is still struggling to keep that car on track. Now I think he's just trying to drive angry and hope that he can recover from that big accident he had earlier. Gap's a little bit bigger. Oh, has maybe been caught there by EDO. Yes, he has. EDO's going to wrap it around the outside, and EDO will clear that BMW with no issue whatsoever. And we've seen these things happen time and time again. Maybe Racing, multi-time champion within the IFEA and E-Racing United group, one of their best drivers. But the moment they come and start racing in other series and other categories, immediately the performance starts dripping off, falling off, the strategies drip and fall away as well, and everything just kind of bleed away from them. They're fantastic in their own backyard, but when they show up onto these bigger stages, maybe seems to struggle to hold station with other drivers that they've been running with. But I am still a little bit interested to see how EDO's performance is going to be over the rest of this event. It's very obvious that this Phasmophobia sponsored number 23 KTM does not have the speed to win outright, but I'm not really seeing any particular strong advantage or disadvantage to this car. It feels like, at least from my perspective, it's a very middle-of-the-road machine. Not great, not terrible, just kind of holding its own. I am very interested to see if other drivers in this category may have found something in this KTM, because again, this KTM is not a GT3 or GT3 style car like most of the other cars in the category. This is a GT2 car that has been rebalanced into this category. So again, running a car that comes from a radically different design philosophy, there are normally some significant strengths and weaknesses, some big trade-offs. You have to wonder if this team has found something or if they're just running this car because it was just something they enjoyed. I'm really curious to see if they may have found something here. These two continue to run just about nose to tail here through some of the more technical and challenging bits here at the very end of the Nordschleife section of the circuit. Otavio, despite these two fighting, Otavio has not really ran away from them. I have to wonder if Otavio is just kind of driving mad right now and not maximizing their times. And here we are, maybe got to the inside. They're going to be side by side right before they get into the final big corner, and maybe slides the car into the dirt. He's not going to lose too much time. He actually did a fantastic job getting that car back onto the ideal racing line. I think he's going to be able to get the draft off of this KTM. He does. He's got the draft of the KTM as they go down the longest straightaway here. This is going to be interesting. This is where draft comes into play. Does maybe have the competitors try and go side by side, and then after going side by side, does he have what it takes to brake later? Have we already lost another driver? Please tell me we've not already lost another driver. No, we're still here. Nope. NWR Hyphen. And Hyphen actually had been running well there. We'll reach out to Hyphen and see if he wants to say anything. Bit of a slide, bit of a twitch there by Maybe Racing, but he has completed the overtake on EDO, so the BMW goes back in front of the KTM just for the moment. But as these two are fighting, they continue to bleed time off to Otavio just ahead of them. Side by side again now through turns 1 and 2, and this time the KTM will get the position back. A little bit farther back, Les Destructor has cleared E. Mojave, who was the driver who had that big slide earlier. And we're likely going to see the vast majority of the field preparing to pit near the end of this lap here. But we are seeing the top category continuing to bleed off drivers as this is going on here. The game seems to think that Destructor and Mojave are right on top of each other, but no, they are not. This is the battle really worth watching at the moment. OTR Anonyms, despite having that off at the end of the straightaway earlier, has regained his position of second on circuit and has been gradually pulling away from CBL Ferrari. The big thing, though, for Anonyms is that Roken GTR is continuing to lead. Roken and Anonyms, we believe, are on the exact same strategy, pit once every 3 laps. Now that Anonyms doesn't have anyone he has to fight with, he can just go head down, try to use lap times to close down on the driver ahead. But overall, when it comes down to it, Roken has been the dominant driver here in the bottom category. Anonyms has to figure out a way to dig deep to catch up here. All right, coming into the party right now is NWR Hyphen. Hyphen, can you hear me? Can you include your audio in the Xbox party?
Yeah, I can.
All right, Hyphen, it looked like you had a decent run going there, running in the upper half of the field in the top class before this frustrating disconnect. What took you out here? Was it a disconnect or was there something else going on?
Just plain and simple disconnect. I've been having issues pretty much since Q8. I've never had any before that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on exactly. Yeah, it's just feels bad, man.
All right, frustrating time to say the least. I do want to ask, though, who's going to be taking over the car in Stint 2?
It will be customs.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on customs. It's a shame to have to talk to you this early in the event, but hopefully the team can turn things around and at least salvage some solid Stint wins out of this later on.
Yeah, it's the longest track in the game, and some things can happen. And I think one disconnect doesn't warrant retiring the car. Maybe it would on shorter tracks, but yeah, on this one, things can happen.
All right. Well, it's good to hear that you guys are planning to still stick with it. We look forward to seeing what else you guys can do going forward. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and while we were interviewing Hyphen there, you just saw second place in the road going class. OTR Anonyms have another off, so the gap between Anonyms and Roken on track continues to get larger and larger. So barring an accident or disconnect, it looks like Roken has the bottom category locked up. Same thing in the GT category. It looks like barring an accident or disconnect, GSR Rico has this stint locked up. The fight is going to be for a second on back in all of the remaining stints. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here, hopefully in time to catch our leaders going ahead and making a pit stop here, their second pit stop of the day at Nurburgring Nordschleife. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will welcome you back here to Nurburgring Nordschleife. We are anticipating our top category, the GTs, will be pitting momentarily. But a little bit more interestingly than that, in my opinion, is the fact that we are going to be closing in on the period where our top category cars, our GT cars, will be catching the bottom category, the road cars, very shortly. It looks like the way this race is going, our top category will only be catching the bottom category once every stint. I could be wrong, but we are 1 minute away from being halfway through this stint. I see no reason to believe that Rico is going to suddenly out of nowhere catch these guys twice in this stint. So it looks like traffic will only be an issue once in the event today. Again, massive, massive circuit, the largest race circuit in the game. So it's not that surprising that it takes so long to catch. That's one of the dynamics about racing on shorter circuits versus larger circuits. On shorter circuits, you complete laps quicker, and you can complete more of them in a set period of time, meaning that any sort of difference in performance means that faster cars will catch slower cars much, much faster and much, much more often. It will happen time and time and time again. Bigger circuits like this, that will reduce the amount of time that faster cars catch slower cars here. And here we go, GSR Rico pitting, as we anticipated, about 3 laps of running, and then they stop. Time that fuel number really well here. Now, what I'm interested to see here, Gabe is saying that Storm may have cleared Iris, and yes, Storm has cleared Iris somehow. So using the draft, he has caught and cleared Iris. So we now have a new second-place driver at the stage of the event here for our top split. The fight for second has been absolutely wild. We've had all sorts of drivers there. We've had Drifts in the middle of that fight before he dropped out. We've had Eric being up in second. Iris has been there. Storm is there now. We've also had Otavio be there for a bit. So yeah, that fight for second has been absolutely wild and keeps going back and forth throughout the entire time. One thing to keep an eye on is that we are anticipating that maybe Racing is going to stay out this circuit and will inherit a bunch of positions back. Now, we're just about guaranteed that Rico is going to hold the lead, but we don't know what maybe strategy is long-term. Maybe they have some sort of strategy in mind that we are not familiar with, but they are running an alternate strategy. They went 4 laps instead of 3 laps for the first run. They are not trying to split the race into nice, even 25-minute segments. They are going a little bit longer, getting full use of their tires, at least the first time around here. So now, for this lap, maybe Racing will be at a tire life disadvantage to the other cars on track, and you look at, they have only come out on circuit 5th overall. So, yeah, I don't feel super confident for maybe Racing strategy right now. Maybe things turn around, maybe there's something going on that I'm not aware of, but right now, I'm not feeling super confident about this alternate strategy this team is on at the moment. We're also anticipating that our GT class should start catching the bomb category very shortly here. Although at the rate they are going, there is a very distinct possibility that the drivers at the back of our road car category, such as Fast Food 21 here, there is a very distinct possibility that these drivers will not see GSR Rico or Storm or Iris. They may pit, and then when they pit, they may end up well down the order already. So there is a very distinct possibility that our top category will not deal with the full bout of lower road car traffic here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. Again, we'll keep an eye on that. That is not a guarantee, but that does look like it could be a distinct possibility. We are anticipating that Fast Food will be paying at the end of this lap. Maybe not. His tires are actually relatively well. If he's already made a stop, things might be better for him. But then you look at Von Lobo here, who is second to last in category. We're anticipating that he's going to be pitting this time. And then you have EMC Moto Man just ahead. Moto Man is running a strategy very similar to what maybe is in the top category. He ran 4 laps before making a stop, so he's going to be staying out for a lot longer on the circuit. I think that it's almost guaranteed that we'll see Moto Man be caught by Rico before Moto Man makes another stop here. So after it's all said and done with, maybe Racing has ended up 5th right now, a little bit behind ZR Eric. Now Eric has got a new set of boots on the car, can absolutely just focus, head down, go wild here, trying to make ground up. But the big problem for Eric is that he really seems to be sliding the rear of that car around. Again, the craziest thing is that while it looks like he's constantly sliding the rear of the car around, it is his front tires that he is burning up, not his rears. So definitely an interesting scenario there. But I imagine the team will want to go ahead, relook at the car, and try and figure out ways to rebalance it. The ZR team in general has had a little bit of a good time here at Nonstop Nürburgring November in the P1R SEC Championship, where they do one endurance race every month. Their season finale was here at Nürburgring Nordschleife last week and they pulled off a second overall. While they didn't win a single stint, they did pull off second overall in a very, very fantastic drive. Granted, that was not Eric. That was ZR Haya Cranky who pulled that off. But the ZR team has shown some capability at braining out some good results here and good lap times at Nurburgring Nordschleife right now. Meanwhile, at the head of the field in GT is Rico, but we are looking at second and third. This is H-Wire Iris with Storm, 19-19 behind. Now, Storm caught Iris right before the pit stop and passed him just as they came in the pit lane, but now in the moments afterwards, Iris has cleared Storm as put himself back into second. So the fight for second continues to be spirited. Many different cars, many different drivers, but it looks like at this stage of the event, we are looking at a scenario where it will be dodge on dodge action for second place, and Rico has absolutely vanished into the distance. All the faster drivers seem to have instincts or just be inept, or I shouldn't say inept, but not well set up cars, or there just may not be enough faster drivers here. So Rico starting from the pole in a fantastic position to open up a gap on the rest of the field early on here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. The fight for second, is the one that's really worth watching here. Bit of a slide there. Looks like they're holding station. So what we are going to do, I'm going to go ahead and use the point of interest camera. I'm going to try and manually calculate the gap between first and second in our top category here as they come down through the carousel. I'm going to try and use that to calculate the time there. You can count along as well, but I'm going to try and audibly count the difference in seconds between first and second. And you'll get a slightly better idea as to how much Rico has pulled away from the rest of the field. There's Rico going by right now. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1011, 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1016, 1017, 1018, 1019, 1020. So I'm counting about 19 and a half seconds between Rico and Iris at this stage of the event. So Rico has pulled out an absolutely outstanding advantage on the rest of the field at this stage of the race here. All right, so as our leaders are going ahead and making their stops, what we are going to do, I'm going to knock out a Twitch ad break right now, so that way when we come back, hopefully we can catch the entire scenario of our lead lap car, our top category cars, trying to navigate traffic here, because it looks like it will be the only time we'll see traffic being an issue today. We'll be back momentarily here at Nurburgring Nordschleife, and when we come back, hopefully we can see how drivers can actually handle some traffic management here at the Green Hell during TORA's 24 Hours of Nurburgring. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Nurburgring Nordschleife. We are just about a full hour through Stint 1 here. And we are anticipating that by the end of this lap, if not sooner, we will see our top category catch the bottom category, and they will have to start navigating traffic. For Rico, I would not be too terribly concerned, but for everybody else, there is a lot of ground to be lost. I think Rico has such an advantage over the rest of the field in the GT category right now that we are looking at a very distinct possibility that Rico goes ahead and maintains all or most of his current lead over Iris on back. But every position from second on down in the top category has been incredibly tight right now. It is Iris and Storm who are going back and forth at it in the Dodges. A pair of HYR entrants right now. Oh, Iris has had an off there. Iris has an off. No damage to the car, but he slid into the dirt there, and that will put Storm back up into the second position right now. Sadly, we did not see what sent Iris off there. But these two continue to trade positions back and forth. And meanwhile, through all of this, I want to go ahead and talk about this driver here. Assuming the information we're looking at is right and the ticker is not completely busted, HYR Otavio has been recovering from his big accident earlier. If Otavio can catch ZR Eric before this is over, we could very easily see a scenario where HYR entrants finish this stint in second, third, and fourth. For those of you asking about Moto Man's status, Moto Man is running an alternate strategy from everyone else. Everyone is doing run 3 laps and then pits. Moto did 4 laps on his first stint before pitting, so he is running an alternate strategy. That is why he has not yet made his second stop at this stage of the event. He is trying to go nice and long on the stints. Not 100% sure what the reasoning behind the strategy is. We're also seeing in the top category, the GT class, Maybe Racing, is running a very similar strat as well. Again, not really sure what the advantage or disadvantage of that would be. If anything, I would think it would hurt you more because you're not really getting the maximum use of the tires. If anything, you're putting yourself in more stress under the life of the tires, but maybe they have figured something out that we have not here in the booth. So already, Rico is now starting to navigate traffic. He's already disposed of Fast Food 21. The next driver he'll be looking at will be Von Lobo. Again, here at Nurburgring Nordschleife, every move made in the Nurburgring Nordschleife section, the actual old green hell, is a very high-risk move. This track does not really give a lot of space for nice, easy, traditional overtakes. But you can't just hang out behind slower cars forever. You'll bleed off a ridiculous amount of time. So Rico, who has been your fastest driver here in the top category, he's already disposed of Fast Food. Now he's going to have to try and run down on Von Lobo and see what he can do to dispose of Von Lobo real quickly here. Going to catch him in the straight line, and it looks like he'll be able to hold the inside lane. Uses an easy braking zone and should be able to clear him without issue. This is what I'm really interested in, though. Watch this. Storm and Iris have both been having a little bit of mistakes between the two of them, and now they're going to be closing in on Fast Food and Von Lobo. Traffic is going to have a big impact. Two of these two Dodge Vipers are going to be able to maintain and navigate their gap over traffic easier. Excuse me, I apologize for that. Right on board with HYR Iris as they go through this funnel section here. The walls are super tight through here. You're running downhill, and it's constantly brake, gas, brake, gas. You're constantly overheating the front tires. This is one of the most frustrating and technical sections here on the green hell. Oh, and that's going to help as Fast Food goes into the outside wall, and that will let both of the Vipers by without too much issue as they fire down now into the slowest and tightest quarter on the entire circuit, and now fire off. Our top 4 on track, or top 5 on track for the bottom category, Broken, Anonyms, Ferrari, Vic, and Moto Man. They're all very much spread out from each other. The interesting thing for Moto Man, again, is that he is on an alternate strategy. So unless Rico catches him like in the draft, he's not really going to have a direct impact on the vast majority of this field. He's going to be in pit lane while our GT category goes by here. IRS has fallen off of Storm just a little bit here, but Storm has caught Von Lobo in a very unideal section of the circuit, stuck up behind, tries to go to the outside. There's nowhere there. He's not being blocked. It's not like he's being blocked by solar traffic. There's just no room, and immediately Iris closes right back up on Storm. The fight for second is all alive again. That is the risk of dealing with traffic here. And while that dodge definitely has the downforce to have tried to make a move around the outside, he did not commit to it, didn't even realize he would have to do it. He did not commit to it fast enough. And because of that, suddenly Iris and Storm have caught each other all over again. So the fight for second, it looked like it was starting to dissolve, and now it kicks back on. Also in the process, this just further extends Rico's advantage over this group. I think we are looking at a scenario where Rico could end up finishing just about an entire pit stop distance ahead of the rest of the field here. Though right now it does seem like Storm is not able to hold on. I mean, Storm is able to hold on, and Iris is just kind of struggling back here in third right now. Closed in due to traffic, but now they've cleared the first bit of traffic, and the gap is already starting to open up once more. Looks like there's a significant amount of pace difference, and it will be a long time before this duo catches any more traffic. Once more, going through your bottom category, Roken GTR went out and opened up a big lead early on. He has been maintaining it the entire time. OTR Anonyms has arguably been the fastest driver in the bottom category, but he has been very accident mistake prone. We've not focused a lot on the road going category, but despite that, we have seen at least 2 different instances from Anonyms. Despite his instance, though, he has pulled away from current third place CBL Ferrari at the moment. And then, fourth place, a little bit farther back, is OPT in Vic, who is just about to come onto the start-finish straightaway. So, Toyota Supra has run second, third, and fourth right now. Moto Man's kind of the wild card here, because Moto Man's on an alternate strategy. He is about to be pitting now. So, he'll be going from fifth, but we don't know how far down the grid he's going to be, as Von Lobo and Fast Food are on radically alternate strategies right now. ZR Eric looks like has already cleared Von Lobo without any serious issue here. Lobo's going really, really slow. Has he damaged the car somewhere? No? He does have transmission damage, and that's not going to help him, obviously. Otavio is off into the dirt once more. Spends a prolonged period of time off in the dirt, and any hope that Otavio had of catching ZR Eric before this is over is gradually dribbling away. You can see Eric is already most of the way down the straightaway here. Otavio has only just gotten on it. So I think Otavio, all things considered, is going to have to stabilize his pace just to maintain fifth overall. So it looks like the HYR entries in this lobby are setting up for a second, third, and fifth place result here. The ZR team putting on a respectable showing here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. We're about 32 minutes away from the conclusion of Stint 1 here. And again, we will be back for Stint 2, and then I'll try and use Twitch's raid feature to shepherd all the viewers to the people who will actually be covering Stints 3 and 4, while I will actually use that to, actually do real life stuff. So yeah, after pit stops are done for Moto Man, again, he's on an alternate strategy compared to the Toyotas ahead. He is still relatively all by himself, and Les Destructor is pitting. That is unexpected. Isa Bay's pitted as well. No signs of damage, but they have short-filled significantly by the looks of it. So now Les Destructor and Isa Bay running an alternate strategy. They only ran 2 laps on this most recent stint instead of 3. So I'm very curious to see what the reasoning is there. Yet Isa Bay also went ahead and is pitting as well. Now Isa Bay, well, the telemetry we are getting from Isa Bay is very obviously not accurate, it seems. So this telemetry is not even remotely accurate. We can't actually use that for anything. But you have to wonder if they're jumping onto our alternate strategy. They're going to try and run the last 31 minutes or so on tires without pitting again. We are only anticipating that the rest of the field will only make one more stop. But now, Destructor and Isa Bay have made what we anticipate will be their final stop of the event. Maybe Racing has made their second stop, and they are still trying to navigate traffic here. BMW on BMW action, some interclass rivalry there. He's looking ahead at EDO 4351. He keeps coming out roughly with EDO, but the difference has been slowly and slowly going more and more in EDO's favor. He'll end up ahead of EDO for a bit, and then he'll slowly fall behind him. And then they'll pit, and he'll end up even with EDO, and then falls gradually more behind him. With the rate this is going, I think maybe he's not going to be anywhere close to EDO by the very final lap of this. Again, could be a little bit interesting. We might see drivers going a little bit farther at the very end than what they're anticipating. May have a little bit more tire fall off than anticipated, but with the fact that no one has really been pushing into the minor wear mark, I feel like you could very easily make this 3 stops and go that extra lap, that 4th lap in the very final bits of this race and be fine. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I really do feel that traffic is not going to that tire wear is going to be such a incredibly important wild card. TORA in general typically sets up and engineers their races to where it's all about lap time, and things like tire wear do not have a big impact. There are exceptions, but that's typically how TORA endurances are working out here. So alternate strategies typically are not ideal. Typically you just want to be on the strategy that keeps you on track as often as possible. And alternate strategies typically will not help with that. But again, there's still a little bit of baseball left, as I like to say. But I'm not seeing it working out. I feel the same way with EMC Motoman, but Motoman's in a bit of a positive scenario because he is well clear of Von Lobo and Fast Food, who have had a series of incidents throughout the entire event. So Motoman can afford to run an alternate strategy, and he's not going to be nearly as screwed over by that. All right, GSR Rico now catching the front runners in the lower category. We have 4 different Toyota Supras running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Right now, he has cleared 4th place. That would be OPT and Vic, and clears him in a nice, easy part of the track. It is a big gap, though, between him and 3rd place, which is CBL Ferrari. And Storm has solidified his grip on 2nd. Iris has completely fallen off, as actually falling slowly into the clutches of ZR Eric. Again, keep an eye on the ZR team. They have shown some significant competence. Their drivers have shown some competence here at Nurburgring Nordschleife over this month of nonstop Nurburgring November here. Rico can see the next driver ahead. That would be CBL Ferrari just ahead of him. But you can visibly see the difference in performance between these two just going through the carousel alone. Rico has lots of time. He doesn't have to go crazy. He doesn't have to absolutely charge to blitz by. He is nearly an entire pit stop ahead of 2nd place right now. He can afford to be cautious and wait for an ideal move. You don't want to wait forever, but he can afford to wait for a good period of time here. Pulls alongside, coming out of the corner into a longish straightaway. Nice and easy move there. So Iris slipping back into the clutches of ZR Eric right now. This is Otavio, who has just navigated his way around some traffic, but it seems like Otavio is still really struggling. I think he's still driving angry, trying to recover from that incident earlier. So Eric cleared Iris, and I missed it. I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. I missed the critical overtake for third place. Although it may not be over yet, because you can see Eric really struggling to keep the car on circuit right now. And again, they're going to be dealing with traffic. Not a lot of traffic. The bottom category is really spread out, so you're really just hitting one car at a time. Both drivers really sliding their way over the curbs here. But Eric has got it. It seems like Iris's performance early on has gradually dribbled off. Don't know if it's fatigue or maybe the car doesn't handle as well once the rubbering really kicks in here. All right, this will get interesting. Eric's bled off a lot of time, and now Iris is going to be tucked up right behind the rear wing. So the Dodge will have a nice long draft, and our leaders in top category are pitting once again. So that will reset their charge through the bottom category field. Here comes Iris, though. He's got to run. He's going to try and pull up along the inside of the Mercedes. Gets the nose ahead, gets the car about 2/3 of the way ahead, but now he is going nose first into the draft, so he is now dealing with the same amount of drag on the car that the Mercedes is, but the Mercedes has more power than the Dodge. Who's going to break deeper into the zone? And it looks like it's Eric. Eric backs out of it. Eric says, okay, fine, you can have it. I'm not willing to push that, but Iris claws back into third position, and already your leader, GSR Rico's already come out of the pit lane. So Rico, like I said, just about an entire pit stop ahead of the rest of the field here. So about 23 minutes left in the event. So again, we are anticipating that everyone here will be running this set of tires and fuel to the 20-minute timer here. Rico closing back in and will dispose of traffic with no issue whatsoever. In the fight between Iris and Eric after they came out of the pit lane, who was ahead? It's Iris by a pretty significant margin. Otavio is quite a bit back. Then you have AFMG Pineapple. In fact, Otavio is just now rolling out of his pit box. So Iris has gotten back ahead of ZR Eric, but it does seem like Iris's pace has been gradually dribbling away in the latter half of Stint 1 here. We're anticipating that we will see the majority of, if not the entirety, of the bottom class pitting at the end of their current lap. And they will only be going about, what, 12 minutes to the end, something like that? Probably closer to like 14 minutes, but still. Gap between Rokin and Anonyms has actually closed down just a little bit over the last circuit or so, but we've seen this before. Anonyms starts to close down, and then he'll have a mistake, have a bobble, slide off circuit, and bleed off a huge chunk of time. Now, Anonyms has been fortunate. All of his mistakes have not led to him taking any damage to his car yet, but we have seen the momentum shifting back and forth. The thing is that when the momentum has gone in Anonym's favor, he seems to have mistakes that cost him significant amounts of time. Rokin continues to lead in this category right now, though, in the Hyundai Elantra here. Again, I want to look at this fight for third in the GT category. Your leader, GSR Rico, is navigating traffic nice and cleanly right now. It's going to be a while before Iris and Eric catch traffic again, but they will catch them in the middle of the green hell on this circuit. You can see dirt kicked up where Iris has slid off just a bit. But it does seem like now after pitting, Iris may have regained a little bit of their mojo. They are gradually pulling the gap away from ZR Eric right now. Interesting enough, after everything's said and done, Maybe Racing running in 5th again. But remember, Maybe is on an alternate pit strategy. He has not yet made his 3rd and final stop yet. Everyone else on track has. So Maybe is kind of the wild card here. We anticipate that he's going to pit and will end up a little bit behind EDO 4351. Probably not as far back as Les Destructor and Isa Bay. Also remember, Destructor and Isa Bay are also on their own unique strategy. They elected to pit a lap earlier than everyone else for their final stop, so they are not pitting again for the rest of the event. They committed, but considering that they are 8th and 10th right now on circuit, 8th and 10th on circuit, I do not think that it's really going to give them any significant advantage. Again, these drivers will be dealing with some tire fall off in the very, very last lap here, so they have gotten a little bit of track position. I don't think they've gotten enough out of it that will be able to make up for their significant tire wear in the very closing minutes of the stint here. I think that this event is going to be very straightforward with pit stop strategy, just pit once every 3 laps, and anyone trying an alternate strat is going to be significantly harmed here. Destructor and EDR are having one heck of a fight here. This could help out Maybe a bit if Maybe is turning laps in clean air and Destructor is bleeding off ridiculous amounts of time on the circuit fighting here. Then Maybe could have a chance to jump ahead of that KTM once more. And again, Maybe will have a bit of a tire advantage. Also will have a slightly shorter pit stop as well because they will not have to put as much fuel into the car. So Iris has cleared Eric for the moment, but they are coming up on traffic. It looks like they're going to catch the traffic about the end of the straightaway or between there and the carousel. Bit of a drop of the tires in the dirt, but Iris has really kind of found their rhythm again. Now charging forward. And yeah, it does look like they're going to be catching road traffic, though, coming right into the carousel. So there's a high likelihood we're going to see them bleed off a huge chunk of time being stuck here behind that Supra. No, all things considered, the Supra moved offline without too much issue there. Eric's going to catch the Supra in a even less ideal corner, though, by the looks of it. Most of the other positions on circuit have already been decided. It's really just this fight for 3rd that's the interesting one. Woo! Eric getting a little bit sideways. He's already starting to slide the rear of that car like we saw him do earlier. If Eric can't keep the rear of that car under control, Iris is just going to maintain. Oh my goodness, as I say that, Iris has had an accident! Is the car damaged? No damage, but he's had a big spin and is suddenly behind traffic again, and Eric leapfrogs up in the 3rd. I was about to say, if Eric starts sliding around the rear of the car, Iris is going to maintain 3rd if he doesn't have a mistake. And just as I say that, Iris has a mistake and goes down to 4th. So a fight for 2nd, and now, which has become the fight for 3rd, has been very, very interesting throughout the event. And mind you, there is still traffic that these drivers are trying to navigate. The last few drivers at the front of the road car traffic. GSR Rico, though, has completely disposed of everyone in the bottom category without issue. Most of the other gaps in the field are big enough that traffic is not going to randomize it unless you have an accident trying to deal with traffic. It's really just this here, Eric versus Iris. Coming up on a bit of traffic. It looks like they're going to catch that Supra coming onto the straightaway here. So Eric should be in a good position. I think he'll be far enough away from Iris that he will not have to worry about the Dodge gaining his draft. He can use a little bit of draft off the Supra coming on the straight like he is now, get up to his top speed a bit faster and try to clear the rest of the grid. Now, here's the interesting thing. Does Iris have the speed to catch the Supra? Because if he can catch the Supra and catch him a little bit later in the straight, that will give the Dodge a little bit of artificial extra speed. Here we are, Roken jumping into the pit lane now. So we are seeing the rest of our bottom category making their third and final mandatory stop of the day now. And yes, Iris easily cleared the Supra without problem there in a straight line. Already, it looks like the gap between Eric and Iris is starting to close down bit by bit here. So, we have about 15 minutes left here at Nurburgring Nordschleife for Stint 1. We are going to go ahead and take the last mandatory Twitch ad break, and when we come back, we will be here on track to the end as we continue to watch this fight for third in GT continue to bubble. We'll be back momentarily here at Nurburgring Nordschleife. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Nurburgring Nordschleife. Iris is slowly closing the gap back down. Eric. Iris seems to be faster, but is much more mistake prone. Eric is really sliding the rear of his Mercedes around. And that is the big thing that is really making Eric go a lot slower. But Iris has cleared Eric before. He's fought Eric, cleared him, ran off into the distance, and then ended up in an instant irregardless. So this is not just a matter of, oh, he'll catch him and clear him. It will be over simple. This is going to come down to, can Iris keep the car under him and pointed straight going forward? We know that Rico has this event won, this Stint 1, barring some crazy last lap or last few minutes disconnect or accident. Same with Storm, who has solidified his spot in second overall. In the bottom category, Roken GTR has a gigantic gap over OTR Anonyms. Although the gap has been gradually shrinking down bit by bit, I think that Anonyms is just going to run out of time to actually catch and make an overtake on Roken GTR here. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the gap is not closing at the rate that would need to make it a legitimate fight. So this is the real focus right now, is third in the GT category. The Dodge very much planted, but Iris has really been pushing it past its limits. Eric seems to be dancing on the very limit of what his Mercedes can do. These drivers have been running the same strategy most of the day. Iris spent a lot more of the day ahead of Eric. Eric's been very slowly, gradually climbing his way up through the field here. Iris has spent most of the time running in the top 3, top 4 positions. Was part of that big fight for second that was going on throughout the first 50 minutes of this stint. Oh, and that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Iris, with a huge shunt to the side of the car, is there damage? There is no damage, but that might be all it takes for Eric to maintain, as Iris has to get back up to speed here. I think that will be enough for Eric to maintain third here. Traffic now trying to navigate around OTR Anonyms here through this funnel section of the circuit where the track is at its narrowest, the walls are at its closest, and the circuit's at its most technical. Anonyms actually backs out to try and let traffic go here. Rokin's still in a pretty good position, has not really dealt with too much traffic yet, but I think he's going to be dealing with a lot more traffic going down some of the higher speed technical corners. And again, this car, relatively high center of gravity, doesn't have a nice tuned up suspension, doesn't have downforce. It does not have the ability to really blitz through these corners and maintain speed as well when the faster cars are going by him. You can already see GT category traffic coming up behind your leader. And Rokin missed the braking zone there by a very massive amount. That's not going to help him in that Hyundai. Traffic gets to the inside, side by side. No issue through there. Caught in a straightaway. Next car will be Isabe, who is running him down. Also, after all said and done and over with, maybe has made a stop. According to our ticker, at least, he is ahead of EDO. So yeah, EDO fighting with Destructor as long as he did has definitely slowed him down. Rokin slows down and pulls over in a braking zone very early to let the higher category go. So really, all things considered, I don't think Rokin or Anonyms really closed their gap by a significant amount. I'm going to use the points of interest camera to try and time the gap between first and second here in the bottom category. $1,001, $1,002, $1,003, $1,004, $1,005. I'm counting about 4.5 to 5 seconds between the top two in that category right now. Real quickly, looking back at Eric and Iris, the gap between them has massively opened up. And Iris might still have to deal with the fact that he's just struggling to keep that car on circuit here. Otavio has stabilized in 5th position, though. I think he's just too far back from Iris to really catch him and pass him, unless Iris has another big mistake. And that's a big gap back from 5th place back to 6th, who is AFMG Pineapple, followed by Isabe, who is running their own alternate strategy, and currently they have an advantage on track over Maybe Racing. Maybe has just barely ended up ahead of EDO, and then Mojave is way down in 10th. It's not been a great time for him. Inderdy Kid is in 11th right now. It's Destructor, who is 12th. And then that is it. We started with 15 cars in the GT category, but Hyphen, F1, and Drifts have all had disconnects throughout the event here. So about 7.5 minutes left, so not quite an entire full lap around here. Oh, and Destructor with a big slide into the wall there. I don't think he took any damage from that. It was a relatively flush-looking hit. That's not really going to help him by any means. Inderdy Kid and Mojave are going at it, still trying to navigate traffic, and Mojave has a big slide. Inderdy Kid runs just a little bit behind, but he is tucked up behind this Supra. He clears the Supra. And Inderdy Kid focusing on Mojave ahead of him as they come onto the straightaway. If Inder is close enough to get a draft, he can use that, but I don't think the gap is close enough. I think that Mojave is going to be able to maintain position over Inderdy Kid. Uses the draft to pull alongside and clear that Hyundai Elantra of Rokin. This is 4th place in GT, Iris, and Otavio is actually running Iris down. So Iris is starting to bleed off a significant amount of pace again, Eric has stabilized in 3rd position by the looks of it, and they will not have to deal with traffic, basically, for the rest of this. So the fight now is for 4th as Iris sees Otavio. HYR on HYR action about to play out here for 4th spot. A little less than 6 minutes left, so these drivers are not going to be able to complete this entire lap. They'll get a good chunk of the way through Northside, but they will not be able to complete it all. For Otavio, he's going to have to consider, do I want to just stay behind Iris, just maintain laps, or do I want to push hard and try to leapfrog Iris? 2 different team cars for HYR here. 2 completely different cars as well. This is a Ford Mustang here, and that is a Dodge Viper ahead. Now, that gap's closing real fast. I feel like Otavio, when he catches Iris, is going to have to pounce immediately and go by. It's not like Otavio's had a perfectly clear day either. Otavio had that really big hit into the wall while running as high as 2nd, so Otavio's just in recovery mode. He's been driving kind of angry for a good chunk of the day. He is tearing up that Dodge Viper right now, though. So we have 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 right now, and if Otavio can clear Iris, we would have 4 manufacturers, 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. But can he do it? Less than 5 minutes left. He's got the speed, not just in a straight line, but I do feel that Otavio's probably been one of the faster drivers here. Can he do it, though? Will he have the time to make the move, clear him, and get away? A lot of torque and low wind acceleration in that Dodge Viper. It powers out, rolls out of the corner without problem there. Just about nose to tail, but there's now less than 4 minutes left, and they're about to come into the funnel section. They're about to come up to the wall that Otavio hit earlier. Otavio needs to not overdrive, needs to keep it on the track through here. He will keep it on track through here. That was the wall that he hit earlier. Excuse me. Just about nose to tail as they go through the funnel section. Iris went off here last time, trying to keep it on track, just keep this Mustang behind. Still nose to tail. Nowhere for Otavio to get alongside. It's the slowest and tightest corner here at Nordschleife, and now their speeds start picking up. 3 minutes left. They're going to come up on a straightaway, but it's not going to be a nice clear straight. It's just like a prolonged period on full throttle. Can Otavio clear the Viper before it? He's got alongside. Iris has dropped tires in the dirt, and Otavio clears them. They got sideways briefly, and Iris had the left sides a little bit too wide, got the tires trapped on the dirt, bled off some speed, and Otavio is cleared. Now Otavio just needs to keep the car together. He'll be able to clear Iris in a straight line through the next section here. Oh, and Otavio drops tires off. Suddenly, Iris is back into it. 2 minutes to go as they're about to fire off into the carousel for the final time in this stint. Otavio's a little wide on entry, trying to have a nice tight exit. Put the power down. He's got the power down. Iris is still behind them. You can't really go side by side through the carousel. The next several corners are really difficult to make anything happen. That's ZR Eric ahead. Eric has actually been losing time and falling back towards these two, but I think he'll be good enough. He shouldn't be able to get caught by this duo unless he has an incident here. The fight is just for fourth. 90 seconds left. Now Eric's starting to open the gap. He slides that rear end. Boy, is he sliding that Mustang complete sideways. Iris is there. Iris comes up right behind Otavio again. Firing off downhill again. A lot of corners. You can go side by side through these corners if the driver ahead makes a mistake. 65 seconds left. They're not quite going to get to the straightaway here. This is a section of the circuit where Iris's Dodge should have an advantage over Otavio, but Otavio can just defend and defend and defend and keep defending as much as he wants. I think Otavio is going to have it, but he needs to not make a mistake. He slides tires in the dirt again, but he'll keep the power down, opening the gap slowly, bit by bit in the straightaways. Under heavy braking once more. And now for one of the most difficult and technical parts of the circuit here, all over again. High speed. Carry a lot of momentum. You've got to keep your car on track through here. Iris keeps it on. Otavio is able to keep it on as well. The gap opens up just a little bit more in Otavio's favor. The time clicking away. 7 seconds, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Over. Plow. Both of them went raced a little bit farther past the race timer, but that is it. Just about nose to tail. But your winner in GT is, unsurprisingly, GSR Rico, who came very, very close to completing another entire lap. Second will be Storm 1919. Third place will be ZR Eric. Fourth will be HYR Otavio. Fifth will be HYR Iris. Sixth will be Isa Bay. The highest finisher of all the drivers who was on alternate strategy. Seventh will be AFMG Pineapple. Eighth will be EDO. Ninth will be Maybe Racing. 10th will be Ender the Kid. 11th, way off, will be Les Destructive. Did he have damage or something? Because he lost a lot of time. No damage, just lost time. And then and that will be our top 11, our only 11 here in the top category. Then you get to the bottom category. This is this is Mojave. Sorry, I screwed up. Mojave will be last in the category in 12th, and he's already lagged out. Don't know what happened there. Rokin is your winner in the bottom class, followed by OTR Anonyms. After that will be CBL Ferrari, who will be third, quite a ways off still. Fourth will be OBT and Vic. Fifth will be EMC Motoman. Sixth will be Vaughn Lobo. And last will be Fast Food 21. We're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch mandated ad break. And when we come back, hopefully some of our top finishers will be willing to jump in and share their experiences in the race today. We'll be back momentarily at Nurburgring Nordschleife here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Nurburgring Nordschleife. We're just getting a bit of a prolonged holding pattern to see if any of our top podium finishers from the top 3 are going to, from either of our categories, will be able to jump in and talk with us for post-race interviews. Not really sure what's going on with Rico. Rico lipped, the tires moved about 20 feet forward and then rolled back in a position. Not really sure what's been going on there. But interesting stint 1, but I think this is going to probably be the most interesting stint when it comes to strategies going forward. It is very obvious, when all things are said and done, that alternate strategies are not going to play out. It's just better to spend as little time in pit road as possible and as little time on worn tires as possible. Isa Bay in 6 is the highest finishing of everyone who was on a alternate pit strategy here today. And don't you worry, we will cover Stint 2 as well. Right now, we're just waiting here in the Stint 1 lobby. Curious to see if any of our podium finishers from the 2 categories will be willing to jump in and talk with us. But if not, we will end up shuttering the broadcast in a bit here. We had 3 disconnects to the event, although Mojave came to a stop, was 12th, and then basically left after only being stationary for about 2 minutes there, so we're not sure if they got his distance or not.